Hello, and welcome to Chasing Squirrels podcast. This episode, we get to talk with Will Gourley. Will is a very connected teacher within my school board. He teaches at the elementary level. And I think before the conversation this evening, he was probably not aware that I have him smack dab in my top 5 mentor list. This past school year has been a pretty straight up in the air year of development for me, and reaching out with my Twitter feed and posting on my blog and really following a few people in the Twitter sphere and other individuals that are posting and connecting and creating some pretty great projects. So Will, I've anecdotally included on a short list that I've called the Masterclass. And I'll tell you, talking to him this evening, the man is deep. He's got a lot going on, and I'm pretty happy that he was able to spend the time that he did with me. So, without any more delay, here's my conversation with Will Gourley, and I tell you, you're really going to dig this one. The dude is just so great to talk to.
Good evening, my name is Will Gourley, and I am an educator in the beautiful city of Markham, Ontario, Canada. I teach grade 6, and I am a digital literacy lead teacher and tech guy at Beckett Farm Public School. I'm also one of 100 TED-Ed innovative educators that serve and promote the TED-Ed organization as a volunteer, and work with clubs or teachers and schools and students on developing student voice, presentation literacy, and spreading the message of the TED-Ed platform and TED-Ed clubs to get students to do their own TED Talks. So it's a pleasure to be here with you, Chris. It's nice to be in your telepresence.
It's funny. So I've been following you, connecting with you for a while, reading your tweets, watching, been at your presentations. I know of the stuff that you do, and then I listen to how fluidly you move through your self bio there, and I just shake my head. I really do. I shake my head. And I know before I hit the record, we're talking about managing life and sort of the digital and actual life, and I'm mind blown that you have all that stuff going on just in general, and you strike me as a fairly balanced fella.
Well, I'm glad it comes across that way. I'm sure on the inside I'm pretty frenetic most days, and people always say that, well, we see one side of you, but we never get to see the other, and that's good. My poor wife, I have to thank her for having the guts and the fortitude to be able to put up with my quiet, I don't want to be around people side. So
that's awesome.
And then maybe there's something I could do to improve that, so I can be more of more level, I guess, as I go along.
Well, it's the level. If that's a personal goal, sure. But here's something that I'll say from the outside, and watching. I've also sort of lurked around you as well. I've been at sort of like public events where I see people connecting with you, and in observing that energy that you carry, whether it's frenetic or whatever, however you want to sort of like label it, I can see that people are drawn to you. I can see that they want to be a part of what you're talking about. You engage well. You like I see you and I think I want to go up and give the guy a hug. But I'm like, oh no, that's not. So yeah, that's play it cool, Clough. Play it cool, Clough. But I see that
anytime, Chris. Anytime. I'm a hugger.
But it's funny about sometimes that energy. I think it's easy. It's easy to sometimes model these personal professional relationships with our colleagues on the sort of slightly safer model that we use with our students. And I actually do. I have quite a few colleagues that when I see them, I want to walk up and throw a hug on them. Part of it because I know how hard they work. The other part is because I have deep respect. The other part because I feel like I have connection. So it's great to see, because I can see you bring joy to teachers and the colleagues that I've seen you interact with. So kudos to you for that. And I know for a fact that you're known for this part of your character. You're known for being that guy. Are we still there? Oh, I lost your sound. Bum, ba-dum, bum. I can edit this out. Put something on the chat line if you're still there. So, can you hear me?
Hey, Chris. Okay, and 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. Yeah,
and we're back.
We're back from commercial break. So, I'm hoping that between the break and now that I got that little piece in around the importance of recognizing that it's okay to have a positive, connected adult relationship with our colleagues.
Absolutely.
And going in with that energy, I think raises the possibility of sharing and that sort of deeper respect of wanting to collaborate. And it also, I think, honors the fact that all of us are really doing a lot of work. And I've felt that a little bit of the cold shoulder in the past where when I didn't have that connection with another teacher and I felt like I really wanted it. So back to the original compliment, I can see that that's what you bring to the table in your professional relationships. And go ahead.
Well, I think about the people that have mattered to me throughout my time at the board. Whether they were administrators or like my best friend or as I joked one time too, when I was just a brand new teacher, I had a teacher that was always helping me and reminding me stuff. I just ended up calling her my work wife to just say, keep me, and she was so helpful and kind and it was just that kind of person who understood that there was something more than just what they were doing to help a new teacher. And I've taken that so to heart when I am in the staff room or when I welcome a student teacher into our classroom and or an OT into our school. I just think that we have to create this warm and welcoming environment for every person that walks through that door. That's whether it's a student, whether it's a parent, or it's a visiting teacher, or so. There shouldn't be anyone that doesn't get noticed or recognized or acknowledged. I guess that's the combo of all three.
I agree, and sort of going there, I can see how that threads into some of the stuff that. Put it this way: you don't get to start connecting with, let's say, what would be considered at least a North American PLN, unless you have the soft skills, the people skills. I've met the people online that they are great. Like, here's a spreadsheet idea, but the sort of the connectivity afterwards where you're looking to close the connection with maybe something more than 140 characters and you realize that they've moved on. So I think that whatever it is in your spirit or the soul of the teacher or just you and your character, it is no wonder to me that you have a bio like you do, because it goes beyond, because I feel like it does reach beyond your school. It obviously resonates within our board because I know of you, not because of the work that you do at your school. I didn't even know what school you were at in my board until recently when I lurked you and it was like, oh, Becca, I know where you are. Fine. I couldn't find you. But I'm just pointing out, like, there's more to you that I think makes sense, that when you meet you in person, your dualism as far as what you are in real life matches what I've experienced digitally.
Well, that's very kind of you to say, Chris. It's humbling to be noticed that way, and I just want to keep my head down and make sure I'm serving. Again, I'll bring back the people that were kind to me. I could go back to the superintendents like Rashmi Swarup and even even in conversations with people like Leslie Johnston or Ken Thurston, when they would have time for a new teacher, right? And I think about guys like Royan and Ming and Greg Farrell, people who have been great to me over the years, and Pat Zrian, that just took time and mentored me, and then you just meet other people that are just so excited about everything. Like Jim Jameson, he's contagious, and we have a great encouraging board, right? I could name people all day that have helped me become a better teacher.
No, and I concur. I am entirely happy with the what I consider, we speak a lot about student success, but I feel like my board has done a great deal to support my teacher success. And I feel like I've honored their offering by trying to give back and, like you, go beyond.
Yeah, those ed tech conferences are Saturdays that they're exhausting. But and then you were sitting there running the show the last time I was at one.
Yeah, I volunteered. It was a lot of fun. I wanted the t-shirt, but I wanted to help out.
Yeah.
So it was cool. And I don't know if I shared with you, what was interesting about that was then it was also when they were setting up. So I volunteered. I said, okay, can I come and help out? I, want to be DLRT, right? And, so just, sorry, anyone that heard that quick acronym, that's the Digital Literacy Resource Teacher. Somebody that helps to support digital learning in our board. But so when I volunteered, they said, okay, here's a spreadsheet, sign up for a couple jobs. And I noticed like there were a few missing. And then I get a message from the team like, hey, do you want to MC? I'm like, wait a second, like, is this not a role that should be sort of filled from the inside? And I end up saying yes. And it's funny, I've had a lot of cool experiences this year just by saying yes, and that was one of them. Like, just to be able to meet John Elmroad, like the keynote, and I'd never met Karen Friedman before.
Yeah, she's a lovely lady.
So cool, and that was also where I got to know Jen Giffen, who I hadn't met in actual life yet. I'd only sort of connected with her online, so it was a lot of cool stuff that came out of that.
I went to every one of those those Google summits and ed camps other than the first one, and the only reason, like, it was times were so tight, I would just volunteer so I could be there, so I didn't feel bad about just schmoozing so I would just come in and do attendance, registration. I'd just pull up beside Eugene and Jim, and they just thought I was one of the team. So
it's the cool thing though. I'll be a roadie. Give me a job.
Yeah.
Give me a job. Let me drink some of the coffee from the back, and I will just blow the whistle. I'm there. What do you need me to do?
Doesn't have to be even warm. I'll just give me some cold coffee.
Dregs. Like I said, I've done the roadie gig, right?
Yeah.
The I want to go way back. Can I go way back for a second?
Go ahead.
Because I've been reading your blog for a while, and it's taken me a while to sort of get through your posts. You have a good number of posts. I want to go back all the way to, I don't know if it's one of your earliest posts. The date is somewhere around December 2nd, and I don't know if that's your Eschew Educationalist blog. Was that started around either 2012 or 2014?
I actually had a blog before that called "What and Why Are Everything."
I like that too. That's a good title.
I'll send you the link to it, Chris, because I that was where I first started blogging, was on that site. And I don't know where it is at this moment, but I wrote about 15 or so pieces on there, and I might have migrated one or two to Eschew Educationalist. But I think this blog started in 2014 when I started writing for it, if I'm not mistaken.
So the one that is December 2nd, which might be one of either the early ports or one of the earlier ones. There's a line in there that I want to throw back at you now, and I'm curious because, friend, a lot can happen in 5 years, or like 3 or 4 years in a connected teacher's lifetime. I mentioned my colleague just at the front end here, and talking about how her learning about kind of like educational opportunity just by becoming connected is straight up in the air, and she's not stopping. Like, she's become a masterful sketchnoter. She's connecting with people on Twitter, asking questions to improve her own pedagogy of social work. Like, she's really driving at it. So I know in a very short amount of time, if you're not using the tools, you can get pretty 2.0'd fast.
Yeah.
So you had a quote way back in the day that I think you pulled from the Ingenuity Gap.
Okay.
And
I'm trying to look back in this thing, and I'm trying to look back at my blog. It's like, I can't find it.
Yeah, it was from one of the two. I think you were talking from a full-in book, but you were also using that. But the quote, I think you're going to connect with it. The quote was, "Never send a changed individual back into an unchanged environment."
Oh man, I did that.
And well, it's a pretty powerful comment in relation to current education philosophy. I think it's a pretty accelerated kind of motivator to say, what you're doing right now, is it enough? Do you need to kind of grow? Do you need to reach out? And then I love that dichotomy of, it's that juxtaposition as when you do find the new stuff, how do you go back into those environments that are not as new feeling as your knowledge?
It's a funny thing to think that what seems such common sense becomes so uncommon. And I hate to use that cliche, Chris. It baffles me that you can't go and interact with a human being and not be changed by it.
Yes.
And so I guess that's the other thing, is that here we have south of the border this beautiful example of something that should never happen. If we're having a true and open experience with one another as humans, you cannot meet someone from Donald Trump's campaign or Hillary Clinton's or whoever is on that side anymore, and not be changed by the experience. There just should not be any way that shouldn't happen. So whether there's something new going on in the brains of humans for some galvanization, or maybe we've gotten it wrong. But I cannot understand in my heart of hearts that every day a kid comes into the classroom, there's no way that they're going to be the same kid they came in as, right?
Yes. And
so why is it happening? It shouldn't be happening on any other terms, any other way either. Maybe
no, I think me going back and reading that, I've watched your TED Talk sort of experience through that several times, and one of the things that really reaches out to me in that is one as an educator, not in the panel that you are, but working with some of the students that I spend a lot of time helping them unwind the system. So not only do they understand the circumstances of what brought them to me, but then working with them to rebuild a little bit and go back into a system. So a student that spends an extended amount of time with me, they'll get the support of a diverse teacher. They'll get the support of a CYW, and they'll also get the experience of being in a classroom that is multimodal and multi-directional. Like, we could be on the computers, we could use manipulatives, we could draw on the board, we could use paper, we can create, we can destroy. Like, we have a lot of opportunity to play with learning. And I've had a couple conversations with my students around this thing that we're doing right now. Write it down, take a photo, get the scheme of it, so that when you go back to the school that you're going to, because some of them will be going back changed into an unchanged environment. So what really rung true in that is that sense of advocacy. So if I get a cool thing, I learn a cool thing. I had a podcast with one of our colleagues, AJ Gonzalez, and she's an alt-ed head down in the south end of our board. And I observed her when we were both at the same school a few years back, and she jumped at every opportunity to be on committees, to help out, to learn stuff, to grad. Like, she was everywhere.
Right.
And I asked her about that. I said, you know what? Like, you had so much joy in that participation. And she said, well, it wasn't always joy, but it was commitment and it was grit. And she said, and I believed every single moment that I was connecting in those committees, I was learning something to bring back to my classroom and make the lives of my students better.
Well, and that's the essence of a true educator, is that it's this constant learning that sometimes gets administrated out of us, because you become these humans doing rather than this living existence that also has the right to learn and has a learning style. And you know, I've sometimes moaned in staff meetings. It's like, when do I get my IEP honored?
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, I've been in that conversation with other teachers too.
And
They're like, oh my God, another slide deck. Why didn't I get this ahead of time? Can I get the audio for this?
well, I've got to be thankful, man. My admin does a bang up job organizing it that way. So they've obviously been receiving some messages from above about those things and how to make PD relevant. And
That's
there's
good.
no reason I need someone to read their slide deck. You
Yeah.
know, it's I do a presentation and it's almost like, okay, I'm going to give you the link to my slide deck. We're going to just buzz through it. And even like I presented at a university just before March break. With all their faculty of education, walked them through the whole TED Ed lesson format, and
Oh yeah.
so that they would create lessons now to share in the faculty. And then I didn't even get a chance to work with them on developing student voice for the TED Ed Club. But the main thing was to give them this tool in their hands that they could take lessons and then share lessons and get it out of the
Hmm.
mindset of that. Just as we said before, nobody should have to monetize knowledge,
Yeah.
right?
Agreed.
So I don't own it. I'm in the business to share it, right? We all get paid, and if we're trying to monetize knowledge, then our motives are misguided.
It shifts. It noticeably shifts.
Yeah.
It's I like I had another thing that I wanted to ask you about the TED Ed because it from your perspective inside out, is TED a philosophy? Is it a is it sort of an artistic pursuit in learning? Is it is it an excuse to be sort of technologically connected? Because when we use the modern learning thing, we say, well, we use that technology thing to accelerate our learning. From the inside out, without the jargon, what is TED to you?
Wow. You remember how we were talking about PLN and
Yeah.
connectedness with? So the way I see it is, well, I got two perspectives. First of,
Okay.
I'm kind of like one of the grandfathers of the TED Ed clubs in the world because we hosted one of the first 10 when they came out in 2013, and slowly and surely that. I was able to provide feedback and kind of next steps for them because they were taking a big bold move to put something together without asking for a penny for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've created this beautiful curriculum to share presentation literacy, which is if you see that you are a TED fan and watch TED Talks,
Mm-hmm.
that getting up in front of people is a modern learning skill, and presenting something that's engaging. The whole idea of ideas worth sharing or spreading is really a key thing, and there's an art to it. There's a method to it, and there's something encouraging about being able to stand on that dot and share an idea that you've worked really hard at, and you never know where it's gonna go. And to be able to offer that to students, to develop a confidence that they have a voice in them that's worth sharing, that's
Mm-hmm.
worth spreading, and to be able to mine that out of them in a way that's very non-pressure, but is rewarding. And I think that's part of the TED Ed, why I'm running my fifth or sixth TED Ed club cycle, and it may just be to encourage the kind of the passive introverted student to find their voice a little bit more, to be able to overcome the fears of speaking in public, to be able to look an audience in the eye and hold their attention, and develop a sense of purpose and place from something like that. I know my students appreciate the opportunity, and it's awkward. It's messy. I mean, having done my own talk, I wish I could crawl into a hole and redo it again. I really do. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going back. I'm happy. It was the best one I could do at the time. But man, do I have a desire to go again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like Tesla. If the rocket blows up, okay, we learned something. So
Profound.
I love Elon Musk for that. I'm glad he's my son's boss. I'm glad it's just a and I said that to my own kid, right? You're gonna fall on your face. It's gonna happen. How do you deal with it? And being in TED Ed is this safe place full of encouraging people that are so generous. And I think that's where it goes back to my real love of it, is that I'm in a place where I'm encouraged to be who I am, to share my ideas, and then I'm free to go and encourage others. And so what more could we ask for in education? I get to do that in the classroom every day, and now I get to do that. I mentor a group of high school kids through TED Ed from Zambia. There's a group of Korean kids that I also connected with. There's teachers all across North America that, Twitter message me and ask me questions. And so I kind of mentor them through Twitter Messenger or through the group Facebook. There's a private Facebook group for TED Ed club leaders. There's, there used to be 10 of us. Now there's 2,000.
Wow.
So, but there's still... we're a family, and this innovative educator program that came along, they mined 30 of us out the first time, and they flew us to New York. We did PD and TED offices in all sorts of capacities, and we got to be working with students for the TED Youth Conference, and it's just been an amazing ride so far, and I'm only getting warmed up. I say it's like, I could do that on my whole vacation, just go visit school after school and talk to them and get them excited about sharing their ideas. So
that's cool. The just after I asked Royan the same question, because you two are the only two that I actually know that have done a TED Talk. So I'm curious about your response to this too. So just after, as soon as the applause happened, you've completed your TED Talk. Soon after that, what did you notice? Was there anything new that you noticed? Was there a response that was brought to you? What's your most sort of like palpable memory of just after TEDx? Apart from what you've shared saying, I would really like to do it again, which I get it, for sure. That's the polish. That's the, I really liked it. That's the, I wish I had said that one thing slightly different or added this one thing. Mm-hmm. Apart from the self-editing part, what is the memory just post TEDx?
Well, I think it was the being able to breathe, because I look back at that and I think for 3 months I basically held my breath while I wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote and rewrote, and had people look at it, and people who I really trusted and still trust with my speaking life that are TEDx organizers around the world, and I you're always your worst critic in some ways, and so I know that it was what I would consider, I had lots of positive feedback on it. The other speakers were very positive, but it was just that exhale that's what I remember. It's like, oh my goodness, I just spoke for 15 minutes and I didn't read anything. I had 15 minutes memorized of my life, right? And my message was, I got my message out because
yes,
you
did.
That and I think that even if you never watch my TED Talk and you just think of the title, that you don't need to watch my TED Talk. Seriously, I mean, I'm happy people do, but no child dreams of living on the street. That's my TED Talk, right?
No, it's good. It's got the hook.
That's it. At least I got the title.
And then drop the mic. I mean, it's like I'm out. Oh wait, let me say a few more things on that.
Okay, yeah.
No, that was. You're right. You're right. It has everything. It's an all in, but I think it also has the element of bait, because it creates enough dissonance in somebody that hears that. That they need you then to reveal what your your experience that leads up to that. Because I
Right.
think once you make it through that title, it's like, I gotta hear the story behind this. You got me at, I love you, but I'm gonna stick around for the relationship. Like,
And
what is?
and I
Go ahead.
think that the approach to it was in so many different ways. I mean, if you looked at my drafts, I had this whole thing about cowboys and Indians and playing in Custer Battlefield. And then it was like all over the place. And eventually I was like, oh gosh, this is like 6 TED Talks trying to escape in one. And so I really had to buckle down. And that is, if you've watched Tim Urban's TED Talk about the master procrastinator.
Yes.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you, Chris. I am just like that procrastination monkey. He lives in my pocket. He lives on my shoulder. Like
I loved his slides. I have to say, I loved his slides. I think that was the first time that I will tell you, you give me the Urban, which is totally cool. And then I'll throw back on the table. You have to watch any of Reggie Watts'
Yes.
TED, and they had that. Those are the people that are sort of turning the TED Talk on its side slightly and saying, my message will be clear if you are ready to receive it. But that's totally true. The procrastination monkey, like, I was like, that's perfect, and the drawings were so spot on.
Well, he's a very good writer, and I do remember watching those talks last year, and I'm hoping to be able to get another link from my connection with the folks at TED Ed to be able to watch the talks live. They're always asking you, hey, do you want to come to the TED? We'll subsidize you, and you can stay here, and there are always pretty good offers to go. But it's during school time, so it's not like I can go to the board. It's like, oh, I need a week off to go do PD with the most amazing people on earth, who this year happened to be Elon Musk, Serena Williams. Last year it was, Tim Urban and an amazing like Casey Gerald, and John Legend. And Harrison Ford showed up. My friend sends me a picture. Hey, I'm partying with Harrison Ford. It's like, yeah, you're a jerk. So you meet some really cool people. I got to say, I have no business being around any of them for their total intelligence, but I'm going to encourage everyone to just jump right in, that there's room for everybody in that conversation at that table to be involved with TED. And I think that's also something that it's a welcoming group of people, and it just shows because the board is gone. TED Ed, very, very positive. The West, they had me come and do PD with probably about 30 schools last year. Okay. Through their West admin, and I worked with probably about 1,000 people in the school board, doing TED Ed presentations and working with whole schools and grade divisions and teachers. It was really an honor to be able to get out of the classroom and share that through our own school board with support. So
that's cool. Do you got time for one more question?
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, that blog post, it was called "A Future on the Edge." That was what it was called. A future on the educational change. That's
I think I can almost read my scribble on the side here.
Yeah, that's what that post was with the Fullen quotes.
Yeah. It was that note in there that got me. Like I said, the changed person going into the back into the unchanged environment. It's not into a new unchanged environment. It's back into the unchanged environment that hooked me. Mm. That's what sticks with me.
I think I was really throwing the music around in that one. Yeah, and here it is. It's I write, Fullen is no fool. He gets it. I get it. And I know you do too. Now, what are we doing about it? Never send a changed individual back into an unchanged environment. What we need are cultures which are established on the premise that current and future leaders learn in context. Mm-hmm. And perhaps my favorite quote from this piece is Einstein's definition of insanity.
Yeah.
But I did that. Started off with the Sex Pistols and then Dance Society. I was really rocking the music in that one. So
well, I saw that you're throwing down no future, and I was like, this is a strong lead, but I'll stick around for the relationship. I'll see. Yeah, we're gonna take it to the bridge, and I'm gonna see if this gets sweet in the middle. Yeah, and it did. Like I said, I hit that quote. I'm like, that's what I was sticking around for, because it started a lot darker. So,
Yeah, my
so
wife was on it. She goes, "That's too many blogs in one blog."
that
That's what she
happens.
would say.
That happens, eh?
Yeah.
That's usually that's the main revelation that I get in my writing when I'm sort of throwing down on stuff.
Hmm.
It's not that it's off track. It's that it's too chimeric. I've tried to put too many pieces into one thing. And then the unfortunate thing is what I actually find happens. Are you do you understand? Do you have used Doctor Who?
I have never watched Doctor Who.
Okay,
I can't. I know what it is. I know there's a TARDIS because I had a student do his
that's
TED talk on it.
that's all I need you to understand. That the TARDIS in itself, when you look at it, is on the inside infinitely large. So basically, what I found was, so I find that I'm smashing all these blog posts into one. You take them apart, and they origami out, and I'm like, oh crap! Now I've got 5 of equal size, and it's. Anyways, I'm complaining about what I enjoy doing, which is the writing part, but it's funny how as to your TED talk having more than what you need, as to your first blog post having, I'm just going to throw everything at this blog post. It's amazing when you feel like when you have the compulsion to say and you have the compulsion to share and you have that sort of willingness to connect.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of cool content comes out of that.
Yeah, it's this constant, as we say, we're just constant learners. We're purging, and I always say if I didn't start blogging in 2013 when I did, or 2012, and I was just trying to get like guys like Roy on to read my writing, right? Who are
Mm-hmm.
these spicy learning blog, or Andrew Campbell, and I really look up to these guys. They're so smart, and they're just they're just smart,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and when they would give me the time of day to read my blog, it meant a lot because I knew I had to go through the process of scrapping it out, even if I only got 5 reads on a post.
Yeah.
And I had to go through that purge, just like I say with my students. I can say to them, look, we all have to go through the purging of what we're doing so we can get better. It's those are the steps, and it comes. I didn't write a Pulitzer Prize winning blog unless I keep writing,
Yes.
right? I'm not going to get published in Huffington Post unless I keep writing. I'm not going to get recognized just on resting on a good post. I need to be consistent. And, that's why I love when my wife gives me feedback on my posts, or anybody for that matter. I'll take anybody to say, that there's just too many ideas in this. It needs to be like 3 posts. And so then I'll sit there and I'll chop it up. And that's good advice because I wouldn't have had that. I would have just thought, hey, this is the way I feel like writing right now.
I will
It's
say flat out, what drives me to write and produce and to share and to put out there is one of my primary. It's almost as strange, and it's a little bit of a choke me up kind of a moment. One of my primary things about doing this is I really do believe that in some way I'm making school better for my own children, like my own 2 kids, my bio kids, not my students. I do that every day with my students. I
right.
find that these type of passion projects is that I'm putting content out there that in some weird way, I can't wait for my own children to go, holy moly. Like I was sort of, whatever this is in time, I was going through iTunes and you have like 100 podcasts on there. I'm like, yeah, remember you kept on walking in the room and sort of like, daddy, I need a glass of milk. Remember? They're like, but we didn't know. We didn't know that like that's
Yeah.
what you were doing. Like and the second
it's
thing is,
sorry, I was just thinking about that British guy and his wife come racing in with the 2 toddlers.
oh, that was good. Have you seen the other memed out ones of it's like Darth
Kellyanne.
Vader and
Oh no.
there's one with he's Darth Vader and I forget who comes in grabbing the little Ewoks or something.
Oh,
the
that's funny.
or something. The
That's
second thing, and it plays into a little bit what you just said. I think for the first time 2 weeks ago, my spouse is on. She's the drama head at Emily Carr.
nice.
And she's on Twitter. She's there, but she doesn't. It isn't a part of her world to sort of do that stuff. She somehow came across one of my posts that I've been doing for Voice Ed, which is that whole thing connected with On Ed Mentors and the radio show.
Yeah, Stephen Hurley's the voice
You
ed.
got it. Yeah, so it was a piece that I wrote about, I called Being Iterate, and that necessity, exactly what you're saying right now, that creativity, which Ken Robinson said gets kind of learned out of the kids. And I was sort of mourning the loss of that I saw at high school, but really clinically trying to keep it in my own children's lives. Like, let's make something, let's draw something, let's go for a walk. And she read the piece and she told me she liked it. And I thought, that's all I need. That's all I need. I need someone that close to me to say, it's good. Keep doing what you're doing. I need no other feedback. I don't even know if I needed that, but it totally bolstered me just to keep doing what I'm doing.
So that's your piece called Ed Yoga?
I'm the Ed Yoga guy. I'm doing all those Ed Yoga pieces.
Nice.
So,
how
do you know?
It's not coming up. It says no results found, so I'm going to have to go through it a bit.
I can flip it to you. Yeah, for sure.
No worries. I want to read it. Oh, yeah, there. Okay, now it was that. Fine. I'm on.
How do you know? Well, here's the last one I'll throw your way. When do you notice that the board has noticed you? You're living a very sort of, like, you're out there, right? Like, you make no bones about your connectivity. You're producing content. You're connecting schools and connecting to schools. When are you aware that the board's paying attention to you and what you're doing?
I think it first came to my attention when I got the invite to go to TED, and it required a lot of hoops through the support of our SO and my admin, and the school board had to basically give me their blessing to take the week off after the March break. So for an entire week, I had to supply plan, and I knew that I had their attention when they sent their communications officer to chat with me on what my talking points would be in case I get interviewed, and I thought that was kind of interesting. And then kind of surreptitiously, just this past year at Quest, I'm having a conversation with Anna DeBartolo, the former chair of the trustees, who happens to be a high school friend of mine from back in the day. And we've kind of reconnected just in terms of education now. When I went to her, I said, "You went to Father Henry Carr?" And she goes, "Yeah." And then we just, "Oh yeah," and it was like old times. And then Leslie Johnston says to me, "Oh, you're Will, the TED guy." So she's associate director, right?
Yeah, you've just been hashtagged.
You're the TED guy, and pretty much when the DLRTs need information, like Kim Polishuk or Trevor Kirkst or anybody from the DLRT world wants to talk about TED, they usually direct people to me. So that's kind of when I realized I was recognized. Other than that, I got invited to be on a modern learning committee with Rick Rosman last year and provide feedback for that. Being able to work with Shadi Yazdan on the whole inquiry-based learning project 2 years before that, and working with Lisa Donahue, and just always being available and going to those ed tech conferences, just like you, putting your name in. And so I guess that's the short answer of it.
That's cool, man. That's cool. And it sounds satisfying. Like, it sounds like there are one or two people, maybe 5, 6, that will come across this podcast. And my hope is that in some way, I'm a firm believer in sort of going for the PD that you want. And I also fully accept the fact that sometimes that means you're going to have to explain to the board why it's valuable to them.
Absolutely.
And I buy that. I drink it up, because I know that in order for me to stay interested in my own career, I have to suss this stuff out. I really do. And it's also why I found so far that the board has done very well to support my learning needs. Staff meetings, slideshow presentations notwithstanding, but when I'm pursuing my personal interest projects, I've always found a way to have a conversation, to be heard, and to kind of get what I'm looking for. So
I wrote a blog post called "Teachers Need to Get Away from Each Other Once in a While,"
Totally agree. Totally agree.
and
Again,
I wrote it
great
for
title.
Edfo.
Yeah.
See, I don't need that done. And no child in grade 1 dreams of living on the street.
The master of the edu-liner, the edu one-liner. Because everyone's
That's
just going
what
to be
Twitter
like,
does for you.
yeah, totally, eh? Like you have people just like, man talks the truth. Like that's, I could get that almost in a tattoo, right? Just as my new mantra.
Oh,
Slightly.
I got my hand slapped a bit for writing it because it was on it was from the my Etfo blog.
Mm-hmm.
And I just put the link in the Twitter message just now. And, and it was like, I had to defend it. It's like, yeah, we need to get away, because what good is going to another education conference to be hanging around with teachers, just as you say, and not really broadening who we are with
Yeah.
everybody out there. I don't want to just hear another bunch of edu babble about IEPs and da. I
Yeah.
want to get out there and get the real taste. Like, that's even why South by Southwest education is not even interesting anymore. It's just a sales job. What's E2? Okay, E2 is maybe a little more hands-on technical. Going to conferences where there's engaging ideas and broadening understandings, I think is really again, that's why I'm drawn to TED anyways. Like when we met at the TEDx Boss, the youth event, it was great. That was real ideas worth sharing. Right?
Yeah. And I also found if there and in my own personal pursuits, if I'm not getting dissonance at the table, then I'm not fully understanding my own values, and I'm not exploring the edges of those values. So if I arrive in a place where everyone's talking the same talk, of course that's comfortable. But then I become quickly uncomfortable with the fact that I didn't need to be there to get that.
Mm-hmm.
I can get a whole lot of comfortable just by following only one person on Twitter, or just reading one blog. And I've said this to other people as well, that some of the most valuable PD I've done is coming from areas that are not in any way directly associated with education, but speak to the heart of education and the experience of education. So, and it's slow coming, it's on the fringes, but every once in a while those things pop up at PD and you see people just glow. They're like, that was cool. It somehow makes me think about my teaching. I'm not sure how yet, but I'm totally like, they're kind of in this state of slightly euphoric, like that was not like the regular PD we get. So,
well, we get to these. I kind of begged off going to conferences for a while, like education conferences. Like I didn't go to BIT. I'm not going to Can Connected. There's only so many keynotes, telling me stuff that I haven't heard before. So why would I want to be in that? And God bless the organizers for putting out their time and all that. But why would I want to be there where we're trying to process so much, but we just keep getting it recycled through, that someone's going to say the same kind of edu slang through the whole over the last few years. So I begged off going to Quest, and even though I missed Franz Davis, who is probably the one I did want to catch.
Dude, her talk was awesome. I heard her. Sorry to sort of put that nail in your momentary coffin. It was a great talk.
She's family. She's a TED Ed innovative educator as well. So we're connected through that. So it's not. Yeah, she's the bomb. I tell you, a go-getter, single mom, does the whole thing, man. She's White House and all.
Yeah, she was pretty cool. I've sent her a couple sort of love notes through Twitter, just saying I'm still thinking about your conversation at Quest, and like within 5-10 minutes, she's like, thanks, you've totally made my day. Like, and it's funny because you make connections with people. Like, I will tell you flat out, I'm still such a fanboy of you, and even asking you to spend time with me right now. I get it. We're colleagues. I get it. We're going to pass in the Digi Halls. We could pass at a conference.
We're edu brothers.
Edu brothers. I love that. And it's funny how when I receive a note back from Ramfrans, like I said, within a couple of hours, you realize that these people are accessible at a human level. They're not just their posts.
Yeah.
And that is so clearly and so honestly what I look for in the digital connections. Like, I have to close that loop to feel like, well, you say family. I'll agree with that. I think I'm still the crazy uncle a little bit. I don't know if I've been fully welcomed in, but that's what I crave. I do crave that tether, that sort of energy where you know that you're not just standing on the doorstep anymore. You're welcomed in.
Well, dude, you better just acknowledge it, that you're part of the family, and I know you worked hard and for this, and you're just modeling it so well, and your enthusiasm is what's going to carry you through so very far. So just keep that in mind. Is that I'm a fan too, and I'm cheering you on from afar, and when we cross paths, we're gonna hug it out.
Cool, man. I love it. I'll step in first. A real one. It won't be the bro hug, right?
Well, then we're all on it.
It'll be a full chest bump. All right. Well, Will, you know what?
I've got a story to tell you sometime, but I can't talk about it on air.
I have one as well that I want to share off air afterwards. Okay. So, Will Gourley, thank you so much for spending time with me. Where could people find you if they want to reach out, they want to connect, they want to ask you anything at all? Where would you like to be found?
I can always be found at Will Gourley on Twitter, and that's just WILL. I think that's 2 L's. GOURLEY. And if you want to post that link anywhere, or my About Me page, I'll share those links with you. And feel free to watch the first second of my TED Talk, which is don't tell the great one to do it. Done. I kill
your likes just spiked, right?
There you go.
It's retrends. That's awesome.
It's so funny. It was a humbling experience, and I would do it again over in a heartbeat. And I know that there's another 3 or 4 in me, and we could talk about Petchachka as well. And now that we've done that together, I can't wait to hear yours. And
yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that. There's a whole process there in the background to getting that, getting it posted, eh? I've seen on the site they're adding sort of just, it looks like page structure at some point. I'm guessing that audio will be on there. Again, just to that, my spouse came and saw that, and that was the second time that she had ever seen me in action, sort of blathering about my thoughts on education. And again, it was that she's like, you're on the right track. And I was like, okay, thanks. That's all I need. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Isn't it nice we have such supportive spouses? Because I got to say, my wife has put up with all of my education nerdery, all the times I've spent here doing PD, doing AQs, studying, debating whether I'm going to become an administrator, all of these things, whenever I tell her I'm changing schools, she's she's supportive, and in fact, I'm definitely on the move this year. I'm not ready to announce yet, but I'm moving schools, start a new school.
Do you want me to delay releasing this podcast?
No, my management knows. It's all that, but I haven't. It's not totally official, but I try to move schools every 2-3 years because, just to keep flowing and keep learning from people and keep maybe iterating staff rooms and changing staff rooms and trying to open up spaces so that people feel that a real closeness to each other and a kinship as educators. So there's more than just receiving a degree in education, and I've never believed otherwise.
That's very cool, man. That's very cool. So I will bid you good night on that then.
All right, brother.
And it was wonderful talking with you. I look forward to the next time. I will tell you, remember the original pitch for this is I wanted to talk about future school. I'm so glad we got to it. What I did on my notes here for next time.
Okay.
For next time.
It's a deal.
All right.
So I'll say goodnight to you, and if you want to chit chat, holler, and then I'm going to call it a night myself for now, and just go and sit with my wife over a little bit of sherry.
Perfect, man. Have a fantastic evening.
All right, thanks, Chris. Good night.
Thanks for checking out Chasing Squirrels podcast. You can find more episodes on iTunes. I also help my kids out with their podcast, which is called Trail Mix. That's also a part of the Chasing Squirrels podcast collection on iTunes. If you choose to check me out on Twitter, you can find me at Chris J. Clough. And I also have a blog on Blogger that is of the same name, Chris J. Clough. Thanks for spending time with me.